Welcome to Real Estate 360 with best-selling author, international speaker, and real estate expert, Kenn Renner. In this episode, Kenn shares with us how over the last 35 years, he has gone about his research in a real estate market. Kenn also talks about the leasing and management while the property is in your ownership. And finally, Kenn discusses the disposition. All that and more in this episode of Real Estate 360 with Kenn Renner. Today, we're going to talk about what it takes to get involved in the market, correct?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about our process. We talked about, in the first one, we talked about my rich dad, poor dad experience, where one of my real dad had not kept his real estate all of his years and died pretty much, passed away 10 years ago with not much to show. So I had the honor to also be able to take care of him for the last few years. But the bottom line, I think he felt his life could have been different if he'd held on to one house we talked about in San Mateo.
Right.
Then we also talked about my rich dad and the difference. He just held on to all of his properties throughout the years. And that was a pretty simple thing. It wasn't complicated. He just bought and hold, 1031. The second podcast, we were talking about the cycles of the market, and that was where not only the timing, but also where. Where do we throw the dart? And we'll talk a little bit about that right on this podcast. And then the last one we did last week was why real estate. You know, the package of benefits that you have, the income, appreciation, depreciation, the equity buildup, all the reasons why, and then of course the estate disposition. So now we're going to go into how we do it and how I've done it for the last 35 years and how our clients when they fall into our processes here and our system and get connected with our team, we're able to walk them through this whole process. So this is kind of going from, I think it might be a good idea now what, to all the way down to I'm selling it 30 years from now, or I'm trading it up, or I'm buying a fourplex or whatever, the disposition. So we're going to talk about research, how we do research. We're going to talk about the acquisition, the leasing and management while the property is in your ownership, and then finally the disposition. So the first thing is the research that we do. Where and what should I buy? What kind of product? And we always get people, I want multifamily. I want apartment buildings. I'm like, well, those are first of all, multifamilies around here are either overpriced because everybody wants them and they bid those up, or they're pretty dilapidated and they're going to have a lot of capital expenditures. Not to say that we can't find a good one. It's just there are too much money chasing too few properties because we just weren't a big duplex, fourplex town. And then, so a lot of it goes back down to single families. Apartment buildings, I don't know if you have $10 million or not, but we do have some people that I know that are
I just spent it. Actually,
you went to Vegas, didn't you?
I had it, and I put it on black. Came up red.
Did you buy some crypto?
Yeah, I bought some crypto too, yeah. I'm a big Bitcoin guy. No idea what it is, but I spent a lot of money on it.
Some of these podcasts I've been listening to.
Who are these people selling this stuff?
Bitcoin to buy real estate. It's like,
really?
Yeah.
Hey, who knows? What do I know?
So it's kind of like that's the thing is that where are you going to invest your money? We could put it in the stock market. I don't know. I mean, no. What's going on with that? Bonds? Well, that's pretty secure. But what bonds are now, lowest they've been, and their returns lowest have been forever. Keeping our interest rates down. Thank you very much. Commodities, gold. I don't know. I mean, just this stuff is not. That's all foreign to me. So, what do we invest? If you're investing in real estate, we're going to be looking at the research to make sure we know where you're fully educated on why you should invest in this particular. I do a lot of videos. I do a lot of video tutorials. I use a lot of Google Earth. I use a lot of stats. I use a lot of school demographics and all this kind of stuff. But it's look at the economics of the area that you're investing in, the geographics of the area, and the infrastructure, and of course, then quality of life. Those are the things that Austin obviously offers a lot of those great things. And jobs, really. Do they have a solid employment base? And is it a one-trick pony employment base? I was talking to some folks that invested in North Dakota several years ago, and they did awesome and making 15-20% returns. And then all of a sudden, oil goes through the floor, and all of a sudden everybody leaves. And now they've got properties that are underwater. And so you don't invest in an area that only has one industry that's supporting it. That's why we have a really great diversified economy here. And then some of our submarkets have even more diversified economy that we tap into. So that's for long-term stability and growth. So economics, we look at geographics, infrastructure. We look at the macro market. and then a micro market. So our macro market is always studying the overall economy, not only nationwide, and also other economies that are competing with our areas, as well as other economies that need to probably think about moving. Now, 8,000 companies moved from California to Austin in the last 7 years. 8,000 companies. And
wow.
Who knows how many tens of thousands? I mean, 200 people a day are moving here. So, so we're looking at a population growth. And they're usually taking the population growth as number one, jobs, number two, affordability. So we're still 1/4 or 1/5 of certain areas. I mean, we're $300,000 is our median price. So you can get a really nice house, and some of our workers that are used to making 6 figures each to be able to afford just a simple little house in a certain area that in the Silicon Valley now can have one income and live a much better, higher quality of life. So that's kind of what's driven the Austin market ever since I've been here in 1993. But the macro market is my own experience part of the macro market. In other words, I know not only what's been going on around this area and all the roads and infrastructure and new businesses and all that, but also I know the micro market, and that's something that only after being here for 25 years would you have that much knowledge in the micro market. I mean, I've been selling homes that were built 20 years ago. I'm selling them again, right? So it's an intimate knowledge and also relationships. That's a big deal. One of the things we bring to the table, and I kind of had that experience with one of my clients as we were sitting there talking about where we should invest. I said, well, that area, the builder has cut off sales to investors because they have already too many investors in that area. And he says, are you sure? Because my cousin just bought one 2 months ago. And I'm like, well, let me find out. Pick up the phone, call the on-site agent. I mean, I've worked for this guy for years. I say, hey, Michael, what's going on with with this area? Are you able to sell to investors? And go, well, Ken, no, we're not allowed to. We've been cut off. I mean, and I said, well, it's fiscal year end, coming up. And I said, what do you got? He goes, well, no, we're not supposed to. Well, we've got one we could sell, but it has to be cash. I'm like, well, we've got people with cash. I mean, they can always buy it and pull their cash back out. But the thing about it is that these relationships, not only with the on-site agents, the other real estate agents that we work with, it's a small community even in Austin, even though there's 13,000 agents. I know you even have a license, Sandy. I mean, everybody and their brother has a license here. But the bottom line is there's only 10% that does 90% of the business. So we got the good old boys, so to speak, that we all connect, good old girls too, that we all connect with, that we know that if I bring this person a transaction, it's pretty solid. It's going to close. So good relationships with other agents. Also I have a real good relationship with management. The management of, vice presidents, sales managers of the building companies. They know, they take my call. And that's not something you can get overnight. I didn't realize that when I first moved here in 1993. I thought, hey, my hard work and my sweat and my knowledge is going to get me through. And I didn't realize that this is a good old boy. They call it good old boy, good old girl, good old boy town. And I had to build a relationship before I was able to get handed. Eventually it led to having exclusive rights as a realtor to sell in a particular neighborhood to investors. Because the management trusted me, the management of Horton or Centex or whatever trusted me to make sure that these neighborhoods don't turn into a rental ghetto. And for all good purposes, for everybody involved. And that means that's one of the reasons why they do cut off investors, limit them to usually 1 in 10 sales. So having that relationships, not only the research that we do with numbers and graphs and everything, that's, I've got all my engineers love my graphs, but I just go to Texas A&M University Research Center and pull them off their website because they like graphs. So, and they do say a lot. So the second thing the reason why we also research the MLS inventory and off-market inventory, but also we'll have to realize is that this is a lot of work for our team because the inventory shifts all the time. Right. What I send you out today is probably going to be sold 3 days from now. What happens when you get interested in this one builder product, that last one he has available? I have to call that day when you're ready to make the offer to find out if it's still available.
Right.
And so right now, as we speak, one of my team members is researching and calling all of our target areas, our target builders, some that said they're cut off, but they're not cut off anymore, resales. We're cherry picking these properties right now. So I have my team working on it, but it's a lot of work. The research of not only the overall macro, but then down to that particular property in the particular area that we do a rental analysis too. So that's another thing. We not only do a price analysis, but we do a rental analysis. If the number's going to work, then we put together a pro forma, which shows you the estimated numbers of what that's going to be. If that works out for you, then we move forward with contract. Unfortunately, in this hot market, you have to move very quickly. And just realize you have a lot of outs. Mm-hmm. So people are like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, you're going to miss out on it. And they're like, I don't want to do it. I say, I'm not a high pressure salesman, but I'm telling you, tomorrow it's going to be gone. And they're like, you have an out based on the option period, so you can get out for any reason during the first 10 days. As far as the builders are concerned, if you got to get out of it, I mean, some of these earnest monies are $500 or even $250. You got to get out of it. The worst they're going to do is keep your $250 or $500 or whatever. But most of the time they give it back. Now, why would they build a house for you, Sandy, as an investor, and say, oh well, okay, if you don't want it, it's okay, because they now have another inventory home to sell. Mm-hmm. It's on the ground now. So you help them get a property started. So if you back out, they're like, we'll just sell it to somebody else for more. Thanks a lot. Right. So that's then the next step is the acquisition. Once we target a particular area, property, and everybody has different reasons for why we have certain people that say, I want to be around Apple, wherever Apple, that building is. I want to be within 20 minutes of it, which is most of our area around here. Yeah. I've got to be in that area. So we are combing that area for awesome properties, and there's great opportunities for that. But then there's other people who I want better cash flow. And that's a different market. So, all right. So acquisition, we're looking at, the first thing you really want to do, unless you're paying cash, is to get pre-approved with a mortgage. And that way you know what your payments are going to be. And we have great lenders, top lenders. I used to own a mortgage company, so I know the good ones opposed to not the good ones. And we connect you with the good ones. And we want you to be deeply connected with your mortgage loan officer, because any financial move you make will cause you to provide more paperwork. So, as anybody that's got a mortgage, but it's still it's gotten a lot easier. Everything's pretty much automated. But I have noticed that there has been a big disparity between particular lenders in rates. It wasn't like that a few years ago. Even a year ago, rates were pretty homogenized, but we're now seeing quite a substantial difference between lenders and rates. So we're always combing the market for that. So once we find the proper property, we're ready to move forward. We handle the contract, usually handled through DocuSign. We will send you all the documents via DocuSign. We'll review them together, and I've had people sign it off in Hawaii on their iPhone. You'll put up some earnest money, which is going to be anywhere from a low of $250 to $2,500 for your typical investment. You may have to put up some upgrade money, but most builders do not charge the upgrade money, but some of them do. And then, of course, it's about the agent relationships, like we were talking about. Is that one available? We just had a call today where they were sold out for all the to be builds, but she said, by the way, one just came back, and it doesn't have a lot of upgrades in it, so it's going to be perfect for your investors. So they call us. Then once you've gone through the whole contract process, all the way, whether you're buying resale or whether you're buying new, we handle all the inspections. You're welcome to come out anytime during this process, before you buy, during the process while things are being built or you're going through, or all the way to the end. And some people come out at closing to see what they bought, and they're happy with what they find. So the acquisition, we keep you really informed about what the property is, not only with photographs but with videos. We want you to know what the neighborhood's like, and better yet, we'd love for you to come out, either whether you live in Austin or whether you live in another state, come out and take the tour with us, because that ingrains it as to I see how this is going to benefit, especially over the long haul. Now you've got this property, we finally closed, which usually is done remotely. We have people now, they're traveling, so we send a mobile notary to wherever they're at. They close, now they own it, and the next day, our property, we're picking up the keys, we're changing the locks, we're getting the utilities switched over, the management takes over on getting the property rent ready, so to speak, and it just really means just getting it to make sure that everything's been switched over, because these properties, the way I sell them, are pretty much rent ready as it is. And then we do the leasing. And so we do a number of things, depending on our market, what market we're working in. We have property managers that also do leasing. And right now we also handle a lot of leasing ourselves because my clients are demanding it. Number one. Number two, we have a budget we're able to spend to be able to augment the property managers, their efforts. So they put it in, MLS and Realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia and all those. But sometimes it's not enough. I mean, these houses, or especially we had 3 vacancies last month in the same neighborhood. I put out a 2,200 piece mailer. We were holding open houses every weekend. They're all rented now. So when things aren't, that's the first thing that people say to me is like, how long is this house going to stay vacant? That's one of their biggest concerns, and who's going to manage it? And we understand the concerns, and that's why we not only handle most of the leasing ourselves, we also manage the managers. Okay, so so our managers are handpicked and years of experience, manage hundreds of our accounts, and they handle all the day-to-day activities. So you're not going to take a call from a tenant. You'll never talk to a tenant. It's all handled, and they handle everything from start to finish. They collect the rent, they take their fee out, pay whatever little expenses that come out during the month, and then send you the difference, the check for the positive cash. Well, you get the whole difference, and then you make your own mortgage payment. And then the disposition, which is the final part of it, is when it's time to sell. We have people getting married, getting divorced, having life changes, maybe a estate or whatever it is. We want to help you with the disposition of the property, of selling it, and that's why I say to my clients that every sale is every home I sell you is actually 2 sales. The one going in, and if we've done a good job, come back to me when it's time to go out. And so therefore we had some people that have done really well in the last 10 years in our market. They cash out, they pay their taxes, they put the money in the bank, pay off their student loans, whatever. Then we have other people, okay, we want to do more. We want 1031. We'll tax defer, exchange it, and we'll double down or we'll triple down. I'll sell this one and buy 3 more. So, and then of course, if we need to work with an estate, we'll work with estate attorneys and things like that. That's an issue. Fortunately, haven't had to work with that too much. So, research, acquisition, leasing and management, and disposition. Those are the 4 areas that we handle for our clients, and it's worked really well, especially for the last 25 years.
It sounds like you cover everything.
Well, we want to make it turnkey, and there's certain things that the buyer has to do. Like they have to get their mortgage, they have to cooperate with the mortgage company, they have to provide their paper. It's just like anything else. The neat thing is once you have all your whole mortgage file together, like we do, because we're closing one tomorrow. All I do is I've got I got them all in a big file, like 5 sets of tax returns in a file. Just pull those tax returns out, or send a PDF and update my bank statements. It's an easy application.
Nice.
Yeah. To start over every time and provide all that stuff. So if you're in the acquisition mode of buying, I just suggest you put a file together that has all of your stuff ready to go, and you just,
because it's not going to change.
Everyone's going to ask
everyone's going to ask for the same things, right?
And you just have to update like a new bank statement,
right?
And then you're done. So,
right. All right. Very nice.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. If you enjoyed the podcast, learned something, which I'm sure you did, make sure you subscribe, whether on iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, my name's Kenn Renner, real estate expert in Austin, Texas area. It's Kenn, Kenn, at buyaustin.com. That's my email address. And then, of course, my phone number, my cell phone number, you're welcome to call or text me, even better, 512-423-5626.
We'll do it again soon.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Sandy. Thanks for the show.